Welcome, everybody, to the Fandom Nights podcast, where we break down pop culture one fandom at a time. I'm Chris.
I'm Sherman. I'm Dustin.
And this is Rhea. She's joining us today. Today we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Chepisode 12.
There we go. Nice.
The Storm. Release date of June 3rd, 2005. And this, so far, is the highest rated episode that we've watched. 9.1 on IMDb. Which I don't know if I agree with. We'll talk about it and figure it out.
I can see why. But we'll get to that too.
Like, I know you too well.
You're going to be like, 7.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave. I'm not coming back this time. Alright.
Alright, Dustin, take us through the story.
Alright. So it opens with a dream that Aang is having. And Sokka, he's just riding on Appa. And Sokka is air gliding, which is kind of weird. And then all of a sudden you see this huge Momo, the size of Appa, and Katara's riding Momo. And he's just like, yeah, this is normal. And he's just like, okay. And then everything kind of like goes around, they head into the storm or whatever, and then they disappear, and then he wakes up or whatever. And basically, he has like a vision of Gyatso, and he's like, "Where did you go? Like, we needed you," or whatever. And that's that's when he like clicks and wakes up. And then there's like right before, I don't know if you noticed, there was a figure from the shadows.
It looked like Ozai.
Yeah,
like Ozai with lightning. Right. I put that down. I'm like, was that a flash of Ozai? Like, what in the world? Like,
that's exactly what I thought.
He's never seen Fire Lord Ozai, so he just I don't know. He just knows like Fire Lord's coming.
Right.
Like it's just like it's almost like this. Actually, now that we're talking about it, this whole episode is like the gathering storm of like, okay, now the story is going to really start taking off because like there's a big storm gathering, and this is like the thing that gives you backstory and all this stuff. Yeah.
Like we've introduced you to the world and the problem. Now it's here.
Now we're gonna start heating it up. Yeah.
Right. Perfect title for it, actually. Perfect title for a way to just like get into the story, like the storm. Like,
and we'll talk about this. We'll talk about what we think about the episode at the end. But yeah.
So basically, after that, he wakes up Sokka and Katara is worried that he's been having a lot of nightmares recently. And Sokka says to Aang about the sleep. Aang says for Sokka to go back to sleep, and Sokka's like, "You don't gotta tell me twice."
You don't gotta tell me twice.
Aang doesn't want to talk about his nightmares with Katara, and Katara looks very disappointed that he doesn't want to share his feelings, which is, I don't know, understandable though for him. But Sokka was like, "I want to share mine," and Katara gives him that steamy look. And he was like, "Yeah, that's fine." I didn't really want to talk about it anyways. And then it cuts to a little bit later in the day, I imagine, like after they've woken up and started packing or whatever. And they're all packed up, and Aang tells Appa that it's clear skies and we should be good for flying today, buddy. And Katara walks up to Appa's tail like it's an escalator. Did you see that?
No, I forgot about... Is that in this episode where she walks up and the tail rises up?
Right.
Yeah. I saw that as a GIF a while ago. I didn't even notice that it was in this episode. But yeah, I saw it as like a detail months ago or something like that. And I'm like, that's super cool. And that was in this episode.
Yeah, she just walks and he just slowly raises his tail like an escalator. I was like,
awesome.
That is cool. And so after that, Katara mentions about going to the market to get some supplies and food and whatnot. And then Sokka says, "In my dream last night, I said that we shouldn't go to a market because the food eat people."
Well, we shouldn't go, and everyone takes him so seriously. Like, why? What happened in your dream? Food eats people.
I was like,
okay.
Come on. This must have been where he started to get sick for the next episode.
Oh, maybe.
That's going crazy now.
Yeah. Future spoilers. Jeez.
Oh, he's totally fine in the next episode.
Yeah. And then we cut to Zuko's back, everybody. He's been gone for 2 episodes, and now we're jumping right back into the Fire Nation. Let's go. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got. Go ahead. I just put Zuko's back, and I was super excited. I'm like, sweet, awesome, we're back to Zuko.
All right, yeah, so it cuts back to Zuko and Iroh takes a deep breath in and says he predicts a storm is coming. And Zuko says, "Dude, the weather's fine. It's blue skies forever. Like we talked about, there's no storm coming." And he's like, "There's not a cloud in sight." And Zuko still wants to go into the storm and head north and chase the Avatar. And Iroh says, it's probably not safe to go for the safety of the crew, that we shouldn't go right into the storm. And Zuko's like, finding the Avatar is way more important than that. And as he says that, he's one of the lieutenants of the army overhears that.
Dude.
He's like, dude, you're saying my life is useless? Okay, cool, bro.
Cool. Nice to know where we stand.
You could kind of tell that Zuko immediately wanted to take back that statement that he said. At least I thought he wanted to take it back, but then obviously after he had said it, he kind of had to be the leader and like just stick to his word almost. That's the kind of the feeling I got off of his body language and.
I don't remember that, but yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, that's interesting.
So then it cuts back to Team Avatar after that, and they are docked at a small market town, just like right off the ocean or river. I think it's right off the ocean. It looks like. Yeah. And Appa, I just put this. It was like one of the size of the fishing boats. He was like equal size to like those huge fishing boats. I'm just like, geez, man, that thing is huge.
So did all the flying bison? Did they all get killed as well? So he's the last flying bison?
No,
they're still around.
Not in the show.
Okay, but in the world, they're still around.
In the graphic novels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In the graphic novels, which is something I'll be covering someday soon. Once I get them all, because there's more that came out. So, anyways,
okay. No, I figured so because
basically Aang and Katara and them and like come across this like herd of bison, just like randomly in some meadow. So
cool. Yeah. So this is where they're trying to get food, and right.
Yeah, this is like when they're shopping for food. They had a whole basket, and Katara's like, "Oh,
actually, we don't have money. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah, it's
that shop owner was mad. I'd be just as mad. Like, you just wasted all my time. You don't have money. What are you even shopping for?
Right.
You're just hoping that I'll just give you some random free stuff.
You don't have money. I know. It's like, dude, come on. That was kind of dumb, but I'm like, I said kind of odd. But anyways, let's get back into it.
Anyways, let's go to the next point.
I'm like, they need money for food, so Katara suggested Sokka gets a job. As they overhear a fisherman arguing over about the same thing Iroh and Zuko were, about a storm coming.
Yeah.
And so...
and it was like the fisherman and his wife, and the wife was like the fish hauler. So like she was a fisherman too.
Right.
Which was kind of cool. I'm like, oh, they're not doing the whole like, oh, only men can be fishermen thing. But the wife's like, no, you need to listen to me. And I'm like, man, that would be a really rough boat to work on.
No kidding.
But because of the guy too, because the guy's just like bullheaded and just does stuff. True. But then I like how he's like, I'm gonna find someone else to replace you. I'm gonna pay him double. And then Sokka's like, I'll join. And you said you'd pay double? And he's like, where'd you get a stupid idea like that?
Yeah, he's like, where'd you hear that?
Yeah, like, you just said it, but okay.
He's like, yeah, maybe some man, but not some punk kid.
Did he say that?
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking like that, but like, I don't know.
It's funny.
What did you find back there? Anyways, so it cuts to Zuko and a lieutenant being sarcastic about Iroh being right about the weather, and that Zuko has no respect for his crew. And in the back, Iroh is like, please don't start making fun of him, because the lieutenants are like confronting Zuko about having no respect for him.
Oh,
do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I watched the episode, but now like looking back on it, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot more sense.
So the lieutenant was like calling him out, like being sarcastic, and saying Zuko has like no respect for his crew and like doesn't give a dang about us and whatever. And in the back, Iroh's just like, don't do it. And then he like says something else, and Iroh just like face palms, just like, you idiot. And so Zuko and the dude are like just about to break out into like an Agni Kai just about, and like Iroh just like, no, we're not gonna do a fight to the death today.
He's like, oh, why don't we just all have a bowl of noodles and everything will be better.
Everything will be
It was super cool though, because Zuko put his arm up, and then all of a sudden like steam started coming off of his hand. It's like the restrained power behind him. And it's like, oh man, that was so cool. But
yeah, good little tidbit there. The next scene, there's a lot of just like, this show does a lot of it, I guess. So it's just like cuts to Iroh, and then it just like cuts right back to what they're doing.
It's this episode in particular was just back and forth.
Right.
It reminded me of like novels that you read, and especially Star Wars novels, as good as they can be, I hate the fact that they always follow one story until it just gets good, then they follow another story until it just gets good, and then they go back to that one until it just gets good. It's like, just follow one story. This wasn't...
Well, if they're going from, like, a past, present...
Yeah, this one wasn't as bad, but this one was crazy because there was 2 stories, and there was past and present in both of the stories, so it was just... It could have been all over the place, and they did it actually well, now that I'm thinking back on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, that would be a hard thing to do.
I mean, it was
essentially 4 different stories, and they did it really well. So
right. So then it's back to Aang and Katara, and they tell Sokka not to go out now, because there's bad weather is almost upon them.
Mm-hmm.
And Sokka is like, well, I can't back down now because of some bad weather. And the fisherman asks Aang if he's the Avatar.
Yeah.
And he was like, you left us for 100 years, like, we needed you. And Aang just, like, is like, you're right. And then he just, like, flies off. Mm-hmm. Just glides off. And Katara's like, where are you going? Like, Katara, like, stood up from him, just like, you can't talk to him like that. And then, poof, gone. Okay, I guess you can. Yeah. Just like, whatever. So, I don't know. Did you notice, like, Aang's facial expressions in that scene, though? How, like, he was just, like, slowly getting more sad and sad. Yeah, like, guilty almost through the whole thing.
Backing up and...
Right, just kind of, like, being like a dog almost, like, when a dog knows it's, like, screwed up.
And I took it, when I was originally watching it, before I knew the whole story, I took it more as, oh, he was just sad because he was running off to play or something, and he shirked his duties that way. But then when it goes through the flashback coming up, it's
like he actually kind of cowardly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which makes it even worse. It's not just he was an irresponsible kid. He just was. Right. He was aware of his responsibilities and he chose to not follow them. So it's like, whoa, he wasn't just frivolously doing something because he's a dumb kid or something like that. He chose to not take his responsibilities.
Well, not entirely true.
Yeah.
Because we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Because we'll talk more about that when we get to that part of the story. But so then it cuts to Sokka and he says that they have so like Aang like leaves and then Katara leaves and Sokka comes out of the ship and he's like, they left without saying goodbye. And the fisherman's like, yeah, you have some like pretty crappy friends. And he was like, yeah, you should hear about this. You should hear about this one time. And the fisherman's like, I don't care about that. Let's get to work.
Yeah.
So Katara searches through the rain and finds Aang in this cave all by himself. And Aang is like, I'm sorry for like flying away, which is not something everyone can say. Like, I'm sorry for just flying away like that. I'm sorry for just flying away. I'm
sorry for literally flying away.
Yeah.
I did count that one as one of the airbending things, even though it didn't make a sound or show it.
Anytime he glides.
But he I don't count every time he glides because when he
anytime he jumps and starts gliding, he definitely
when he goes from the ground up like that, like he definitely airbended.
Because there has to be some kind of inertia that gets you up.
Right, but there is coming up. There's that episode where he goes to the air temple with those people flying around in the wheelchairs and stuff.
If he is jumping down or something off of something, then that's not.
So
really
there's kind of a gray area in how I count it.
I'd
but
say
this one for sure I did count it. I'm like, okay, he was airbending right there.
Right. I think it was the next one. Did you count when he was running the whole time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you better count this. I'm like, I know this is airbending. Anyways, so Katara says that the fisherman was way out of line, and Aang was like, no, he wasn't. And then this is like when I think it starts to cut back to the old times or whatever.
Yeah.
Because Katara starts a fire in like no time, and then Aang starts talking about what's wrong. And he starts with a story, and he tells her how he was told he was the Avatar. He was playing with some kids at the South Wall, and he was teaching the kids his air scooter trick. And a group of monks, including Gyatso, told him in the monastery. I just called it a monastery because I didn't really know what a room where the high official monks sit.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know what you call it, a courtroom.
Temple.
Temple, I don't know.
Yeah.
Temple chambers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I called it a monastery because I have no idea. And tells him about the 4 Avatar relics that he chose when he was a kid. Like, this is how, like... Because Aang was like, well, how do you know it's me? And he's like, we've known since you were, like, a child.
Yeah.
Because, like, only the Avatar chose these 4 choices. Like, only the Avatar chooses these four.
That's the way
relics.
the air nomads choose their avatar. When the cycle's going up in the air, when it's going to be air, they choose it with the relics.
Right.
It's cool. I don't know how the other ones choose exactly. The air or the Earth Kingdom chooses
Korra,
with like dice.
Korra does the relics too. I'm pretty sure, doesn't she?
Does she?
I swear she did the relics.
I don't know. Each element has their own way of choosing the avatar or finding the avatar. And the air nomads do the relics. I know for sure the Earth Kingdom, they essentially like roll dice and they say like, okay, is he in this hemisphere or this hemisphere? And then they like flip a coin essentially, and it's okay, he's in this one. Then they is he in this quadrant, this quadrant, this quadrant, or this quadrant? And then they like flip a coin, and they just narrow it down to this house, basically. Like they get smaller.
That's how they did it for Kyoshi.
Yeah, that's how they did it for her. Yeah. But I don't know how the Water Tribe and the
I can almost swear that they did the relics for Korra. I can just picture like when she was the 5 years. Oh, I don't know. I have to rewatch it. I wanted to start rewatching that just to watch it again.
Right.
Even though, because like we're going through Avatar like in a serious manner, I just want to watch Korra as like a entertainment aspect.
That's kind of what I've been doing. Yeah, I haven't watched it quickly, but yeah.
Right. And so, the monk said he would have been told about him being the Avatar at 16, but because a war was breaking out in the storms, he was told earlier.
This was messed up. Like, okay, we're these adults who are taking care of this child who's the Avatar who's going to save us and all that stuff, but because this war is breaking out, we're going to tell a 10-year-old that you're the one who has to save us. Or, you know what I mean? But yeah, a 12-year-old, you have to save us. Like, and that is a lot of pressure to put on a 12-year-old.
Yeah, especially
like,
when
what are you doing?
You're like, dude, you guys are 50. Like, you guys are way more powerful than I am.
All of you guys combined can't fight the Fire Nation, and, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't really blame him for running away, but obviously he did run away. But yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's torn between two sides kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you stay and die, or do you like? Because like Katara said, like if you would have stayed, you probably would have died.
Right.
Like you're a 12-year-old airbender.
Mm-hmm.
Like yes, if you go on the Avatar state, you might be able to. But what if you get?
Yeah, I suppose all the other airbenders died. So.
But like, what if you died in the Avatar state? Then you cancel the Avatar order and all that stuff. So,
well, then another one comes and.
If you die in the Avatar state, the Avatar. Stops.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then after this, it cuts back to Zuko and the lieutenant talking bad about Zuko. I think I meant to put it cuts back to Zuko's lieutenant, not Zuko and lieutenant. So Zuko's lieutenant talking bad about Zuko with all the crewmates, and Iroh overhears this and asks if he can sit down and join them.
Let me tell you the real story.
Right, and this is like when it gets dark, especially for the Fire Nation.
I can't believe... Okay, so let's just jump a little bit ahead. So essentially the story is that Zuko wanted to go into the war room, and Iroh's like, okay, go in there, but don't talk. And then he just immediately talks.
Right.
It's like, okay. But because of him interrupting that one general, which you'll find out, it essentially disrespects his father. But it's like, because of that one thing, he's banished. So... I don't know. We'll get to it again, but he goes in there and says one thing, which they were kind of messed up anyways. I mean, they were going to sacrifice all these troops and all that stuff, and it just shows how Zuko is very idealistic, and then he realizes that all the people around him
are like
preach the idealistic stuff, but then they just act however they want to act. So
they're hypocrites.
Right. Yeah. Bless you.
All right, so then it flashbacks of Zuko trying to get into the war chambers with his father, and then there's a meeting going on with war strategy, and Zuko spoke out of turn when he should not have, and even though he was right, Iroh wanted to say there were dire consequences. Cuts back
because it wasn't his place to talk, or whatever.
Right?
Yeah,
because it was not his turn or whatever. Katara asked Aang why he felt bummed about being the Avatar. Aang replies, with everything starting to change around me, the kids didn't want to play a game, like with the air scooter, that he created, and then the kids all created a game with it, and then didn't want to play with them. They're like, because you're the Avatar,
so
it's not really a fair advantage. And he's like, I'm still the same old me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and that's just heartbreaking.
But it's crazy, though, that the main reason why he ran from his responsibilities is because he couldn't play. Like, if he wouldn't have ran, if, like, all the kids just treated him normal, and if all the monks and teachers didn't just instantly switch to, like, you need to learn all this stuff and be, like, crazy.
Well, the main kicker of why, and I'll get to this when it goes, but basically is the other Airbender masters were like, we need to separate Gyatso and Aang because they're too close.
Oh, that's right.
And we need to send Aang to the Eastern Air Temple.
Yeah.
And Aang was like, heck no. So that's why he left.
Right.
I think, yes, he ran away from his responsibilities too, but I think he ran away from not being split apart from Gyatso as well. Because Gyatso was
it was the responsibilities, then it was him not being able to play with his friends.
I'd say that's third on the totem pole, though.
And then the thing that, like, broke the camel's back was, you're going to take me away from Gyatso, whatever. Gyatso, yeah. And so as soon as he saw that, he's like, all right, I'm out.
He's like, screw that. I don't know. That's an immense amount of pressure for a 12-year-old to deal with all in, like, the matter of, like, a week or a couple days, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So Aang and Gyatso are playing Pasho, and the other masters want to train Aang, but Gyatso is, like, Aang's guardian, and I put that, like, Gyatso is, like, this balance between high responsibility and still being a kid for Aang.
Yeah.
He's, like, trying to make sure that Aang still grows up as a kid as well as having this immense responsibility to save the world.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I like Gyatso. I wish...
Which is the whole point of not telling the Avatar until he's 16, so he has a childhood and he's able to grow up.
Right, which is why he knew it was still important to have that childhood part, but the monks were like, no, he's got to train all day, every day, and then save us.
Which is similar to what the other avatars have had to do, but they had to do that after they were 16. You know,
they were all full blown adults when
when
their trials came.
Yeah.
You know, like Aang was the only one that was like 12 and had to defeat 40-year-olds.
Right.
Like every day.
Yeah.
Like he faced 40-year-old firebender, earthbenders.
Yeah.
Every day. So I don't know. So then it cuts back to Iroh telling the men that Zuko was prepared to Agni Kai. And he thought he was going to be fighting the general because that was the person he had spoke out of turn against. And disrespected. And come to realize that he had not disrespected the general. Well, not only the general, but he had disrespected his father because it was in his father's war chamber.
Father's war room, yeah.
And so he was like, I'm not going to fight you, father. Like, I can't fight my father. And so Ozai, every time I see Ozai and I hear that voice, it's just Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about I mean, I know that, but...
Yeah. I'm just like, Luke Skywalker, don't kill him, please! And so, I don't know. It was just intense. Just, like, imagine your father just, like, about to, like... Essentially, you don't know if you're going to die at this moment. Like,
and he's just disciplining his son and trying to teach him the
values. Yes, but an Agni
of...
Kai is usually, like, sometimes to death.
Right, but he's disciplined. This is his way as the king of this.
Oh, he has to show that
of Nazi Germany to
well, he has to show
discipline
that
his son.
He has to show that like not even my son can speak out of turn and be okay with it. Like I have to show that like there is order no matter who you are.
There's going to be an episode in the future just showing it from Ozai's point of view, like. Because this one's all like trying to understand from Zuko's point of view, so it makes him a sympathetic character. And then there's going to be one in the future of Ozai's point of view, like, oh, I guess Ozai's not that bad. He had to do it. He had to do it because he was forced by his culture or something dumb.
That'd be an awesome like meme video or something. Okay.
But yeah, okay. So this is the point where Zuko gets burned.
So this is the moment where Zuko that everyone learns out that that's why Zuko had the burn because the men his crew was like, oh, we thought it was like a training accident.
Which is the first Fire Nation person to ever get burned apparently because like you never see anyone else with horrible burns in the Fire Nation.
Well, burns in their face.
Do you see them with burns anywhere else?
Most people are covered up with their clothing a lot though.
Yeah, but
Anyways.
Anyways, but so I got the feeling that he wasn't banished for speaking out. He wasn't banished for any of that stuff. He was banished for not fighting in the Agni Kai.
Oh, yeah.
For just completely giving up.
Correct.
And so his dad's like, not only do you speak out of turn and you're disrespectful, you don't even have the balls to stand up to me and fight me. Like, which is kind of messed up. Super messed up.
Right.
But it's like...
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I get the feeling that it's more that he didn't fight, that he was banished and all this different stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you don't learn really in the show. You learn more in the graphic novels that there's more meaning to the disappearance of Zuko's mom and
okay.
Well, you find out a little bit. I mean,
well, and then it was super messed up when it like flashed away, and when you just hear the Ozai burning his son.
And Iroh was looking away.
Yeah, Iroh kind of looks away, and
you
his sister
is just like,
yes, finally.
I know. I wrote that down.
This is the first place where you see her, because
I
almost expected to see her like around when he was trying to get into the war room and stuff. And I'm like, oh, maybe she was like a later addition to the series or something. But nope. Even back then, they knew that she was going to be in there, and they knew she was going to be evil
from day one.
Yeah.
So we kind of skipped ahead a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of what was hard about this. And they did it well, but it was like, okay, here's this story, then this story, little snippet. And you almost want to just tell the whole thing.
So, we'll cut back to when Gyatso was going to go tell Aang that he wasn't going to let them take him away. And Aang had already left with Appa and went into the storm. And that's essentially his first Avatar state, is when he went in for 100 years.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I didn't realize that was his first time going in the Avatar state.
Yeah. I didn't realize that either.
Because they didn't. I mean, maybe there was other times in his training, but essentially that's the first time we've ever seen him go into the Avatar state chronologically. Mm-hmm. So I think that'd be his first time going into the Avatar state, unless there's something else they have not taught us. But I think
it was. Rand doesn't want me to hold her.
You will learn to like it. Don't give me those eyes.
So Aang runs. Then something about hope. Oh, that must have been. Katara saying like, well, now you're giving us hope because you are here.
And then Iroh, it was like, the Avatar gives Zuko hope.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. That just was a mind explosion. Like,
I know, dude. Boom.
The parallels between them. Like,
that's why I'm saying this is essentially Star Wars, because it's essentially the sequel trilogy, or I guess the original trilogy too. It's essentially like, Aang is like Rey or Luke, essentially, and Zuko is Vader being redeemed.
Redempted. Yeah.
Anyways.
I originally didn't like this episode as much. I was like, why is it 9.1? But now that we're talking about it, I'm like...
There's so much history and knowledge, dude.
The reason I didn't like it is just because it was just an exposition episode where we're just going to explain a whole bunch of stuff the entire time.
But they did it so well, though.
Which is good. But, yeah, now that we're talking about it, I'm like, wow, the parallels between both of them. And then, I don't know. I'm liking this a lot more now that we're getting in depth.
Better not be a 7.5.
I was gonna be really low, but now that we're talking about it and like hearing the parallels and stuff, I'm like, this is pretty good. The hope on Aang's portion, and then the hope on Zuko's portion.
That's an 8-1 right now.
Yeah, it's like it's honestly, this is stupid, but it reminds me of like Hamilton and how
not the new one, right?
There's different things
in
there.
Old book or something. Not the new dumb.
There's different things where like both characters like go through a transformation, but it's opposite way, and this is kind of, I don't know. It's just really good. It's very parallel. It's good.
So the next thing I have is that the crew feels horrible, as they thought his scar was from a training accident, and Iroh tells him it was no accident, and the Avatar gives Zuko hope, like we just discussed, and I just put like, that's pretty much like what the symbol of the Avatar is. It's just hope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I just like saying that.
Do you want some coffee?
Zuko has some memories. You just give your 1-year-old child coffee.
Just a taste. Anyways.
And she's going to be hyper. Okay. Anyways. So, Zuko has some memories of his family before the dark times. Like, he had, like, these flashbacks of, like, him on a beach and, like, all these other little flashbacks of happy times with his family. And then just lightning strikes and just ends that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just a cool scene. And so then it cuts back to Aang and Katara, and they, this woman, like, randomly appears in the same cave that they are. And they're like, oh, you gotta find my husband.
You just walked 12 miles to come find us? Like, really? You didn't go to some really good friend or something?
How'd you know that they were on this cave on some top of a mountain?
It's just so random, but okay.
It was funny. I like those.
She knew that the Avatar was there, apparently. So.
You got her liking coffee, dude.
Yeah, I don't know what I did.
Look what you did there. She likes the creamer.
I like how Aang's like, I'm gonna go save him. And Katara, I'm gonna go with you. And the lady, I'm staying here.
Yeah, I'm staying here.
Yeah.
So again, another cut back to Zuko in his helmsman is what he calls him. His helmsman.
Oh yeah, because lightning strikes the ship.
Right. And so his helmsman is falling, and Zuko is climbing up the side ladder to go save him. And this is the first time we get to see Iroh redirect lightning.
That was so cool.
I know.
I was like, is this where he does it already? And he almost like does it on accident.
I totally forgot that. No, he purposely does it.
He does it on purpose, but I feel like when he was like burned and stuff, he's like, I can't believe that worked. Like, I feel like this is the first time he actually got to try it.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe he's tried it.
Time.
Maybe he's tried it with like Azula or something in practice.
Well, remember he tries to teach Zuko.
Yeah.
So I think he knows how to do it.
This is probably the first time he ever did it to natural lightning. Maybe.
Either that, or it's just the first time he's tried it in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just looked surprised, or maybe he was just...
I think it was just a comedic little, I'm burnt, holy
blink,
cow.
Blink. Yeah.
Zuko saves his helmsman, and Iroh redirects the lightning, gets a little heated up in the process, but it was cool to see, especially since we don't get to see this purposely being done for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I totally forgot about this moment. Zuko saves the helmsman as he's losing grip, and Zuko and his men grin at each other.
Yeah.
They're like, respect. They gain their respect back, and then another quick back to Katara and Aang, and they found the ship. And a quick cut to Zuko again. Zuko spotting the Avatar in the storm, and he's like, "The Avatar!" And the lieutenant's like, "All right, what are the orders?" And he's like, "Let's get out of here. Let's get
which was really cool. And now we're talking about this.
He makes the good choice.
Yeah,
that's why this episode is so good. It's because there's so much like character growth with every character.
I honestly didn't think there was that much, but now that we're talking about it again, I'm like, wow, there was a lot.
Right.
And because the reason why I didn't think there was because there wasn't a lot of present time things that happened. So I don't think the character growth happened so much in the characters themselves as it did in us realizing that they're growing or something. I don't know. It did happen in the characters because
realizing
they both had a trigger where they had to choose something.
Because remember, Aang is like, I gotta quit dwelling on the past. Like
right.
That's his realization.
Mm-hmm.
That's his growth. Is that I can't. From now on, I don't think he ever dwells on the past from there on out that I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he does a couple of times, but like, this is like. From like pretty much since the show started, he's constantly been dwelling like, oh man, like I haven't been there for the people. Like where the Avatar has been? Like everyone's been saying like, where have you been for 100 years? Like,
yeah.
So I think he's finally like accepted. Like you know what, I screwed up.
Happened. And
I screwed up, but I'm gonna make up for it.
Yeah.
And so after that, it cuts back to Katara. Sorry. It cuts back to Sokka on the boat saying he doesn't want to die, and Aang grabs the rope and ties it to Appa, and Appa just like yanks him up onto Appa. And just as that happens, a big wave is about to hit them, and Appa, it was just too late. And they get
it was
hit
a cool scene.
Under.
Appa's just trying to climb up, but he can't. And,
it's just like, it's too big. And so they get hit, and they go under. And obviously, I think they did like a quick shot of like when it happened the first time. Is there a dinosaur in here?
Yeah.
Sounds like a velociraptor. And so, basically, they go down under, and I said, Aang goes into Avatar sicko mode like Travis Scott.
What the heck?
That's just what I thought about that moment. I just put my moment's thoughts. I'm just like, he just went Avatar sicko mode like Travis Scott. I don't know why. And he creates a huge air bubble around everyone. And instead of just sitting there like they had before, he just like...
So you count that as an air... I counted it as airbending. He was in the Avatar state, but even in the Avatar state, I count how many times bending happens. I was like, is that water or is that air bending? And I counted it as air bending because he's creating an air bubble, but he could have also been water bending, so it's kind of a...
He does both because he freezes the air around it and freezes the water around it.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, because it's essentially a frozen bubble.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I didn't remember it ever breaking. I thought they just came out of the water and they were in their little air
and then you just let the water unfreeze. They can do that in a split second.
Okay, so there was...
It's not like they have to wait.
So I guess I'll count it as two. I guess I got to change my count.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when they freeze water, they can also just unfreeze it in a blink of a
so it's
move.
Okay, one extra. That's a good point. He's in the Avatar state, so he can do whatever he wants.
He can do whatever bending.
Instead of just counting one, I should have... Yeah, that makes sense. I did too. Okay.
Glad I could help.
Numbers changed. Thank you.
So the next thing I got here is it cuts to Zuko and his men heading into the calm of the Eye of the Storm, and Zuko apologizes to Iroh, and Iroh accepts his apology. Literally says, "I accept your apology." And then Aang flies right out of the water next to Zuko's ship, and Zuko and Aang kind of like lock eyes almost for a second. They're like, "I'll get you next time."
Yeah.
Like I'm letting my men get their safety today, but I'm gonna get you next time.
Yep.
And I just love that scene. I don't know why.
It was a really good scene because Aang grew in a different way, but Zuko grew in like okay, I need to take care of my crew first.
He grew in a leadership.
Right. Yeah. He becomes more of a leader.
And Aang resolved his past.
Yeah.
That's his growth. Katara.
Man, I'm getting like goosebumps thinking about this.
Katara really just kind of.
I didn't think this. It was good, but it wasn't like as good as I was like 9.1. Jeez, but it was a pretty good episode.
Honestly, I looked up the rating like right after, but I made a conscious I'm like okay, I'm gonna give it an 8.5, and then after seeing the IMDb rating of a 9.1, I was like, you know what? I honestly like kind of agree with that because like after you're realizing, I was kind of realizing it more too.
Yeah.
What's that, little girl?
Are we at that point?
No, we're not.
No. Okay.
And so, they have that. They exchange that look, and then Aang and them deliver that fisherman back to her, the wife or whatever.
Yeah.
And Sokka notices it stops raining, and so the gang and Appa head outside, and just kind of a nice overview shot of looking like the shoreline along with the ocean.
Yeah.
On the right.
Yeah.
And then Appa just starts shaking all the water off of them.
Like, Appa!
And they're like, Appa! And that's when it cuts to the next end. That's real credits there. So yeah. Good. But yeah, for the IMDb rating, I agreed with the IMDb, and I'm going to give it a 9.1.
That's what you're going to say, 9.1?
Yep.
Okay, well, let's rate it in a second, but no, I don't think there's many creatures in this episode at all. It was just backstory. Wise sayings other than the bowl of noodles thing. Why don't we all just calm down and have a nice bowl of noodles?
Yeah, there's really no other...
Yeah. Bending numbers. There was 4 instances of water bending, counting the Avatar state. 0 of earth. 3 of fire, which there just wasn't that many.
Yeah.
And then 21 of air, because there was a lot of like flashbacks with all the kids. And again, I didn't know if I mean, obviously I got to count when there's bending in the flashbacks. But, I don't know. It was just, I did do it in 2 separate areas because I'm like, oh... There was a ton of bending back then, but it's not happening right now. So, but
well, that
anyways,
counts, though.
Yeah, it does count. So there's 21 of air bending because there was all those kids were doing all their stuff. So
and stuff. That's good that we got some good airbending numbers up though.
Yeah, I know.
You know, instead of just like 7 for Aang this episode, like we got a bunch of people airbending.
Yeah. So and he went into the Avatar state 3 times, really, but one of them we'd already seen because that's when he went into the iceberg.
Should we count just like new Avatar? Yeah. Well, I guess there's not like a whole lot of flashbacks from here on out, really.
Yeah.
We'll just count flashback Avatar.
Well, I'm just counting every time he goes into the Avatar state, so whatever. So that was kind of cool.
You didn't count the one where he almost goes into it and Katara stops him right away, right?
I did.
I wouldn't count.
No. I put 1 question mark mad. Because he kind of goes in, but then that was a cool scene. I forgot about that. We didn't even talk about that.
I wouldn't count that as an Avatar state, though.
So he only went into the Avatar state 1 new time that we have.
Because if you notice, only his head glowed, not his arms or anything.
His arms did glow.
Are you sure?
Yeah, everything did. I specifically remember his arms.
I remember when Katara grabbed his hand, it was not glowing.
Yeah, but okay. Well, so you give this one a 9.1, huh?
Yep, I need to give it some decency.
Now that we're talking about this, I don't know. It seemed like a worse episode.
9 is not the cap.
No, I know. I'm just thinking through. I would honestly give this like an A- or something as well. I'm just thinking grade-wise because Aang he accepts his avatarness, really, for the first time in this one. He's been like, oh yeah, I'm an avatar. Oh yeah, I'm the avatar. But this is the first one he's like, I need to go save Sokka because I'm the avatar and I can do this. Mm-hmm. Like he makes that decision. Like he accepts. He lets go of the past, accepts who he is, and then does something about it right then. Which I didn't think he really did that much in this episode, but he does do that. And most of the stuff is in the past, but then same thing with Zuko. He learns that I can't just sacrifice my crew and just go all or nothing for this one goal. I need to also, like, protect them and be a leader and all that stuff. So that was cool. And, yeah. I don't know. It was really good. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna go a little higher. I'm just gonna say 9.2 because it's like a solid low A for me.
Proud of you.
Yeah, you're proud of me.
I'm proud of you.
But it still makes it a...
What do you think Sherman would give it if you were here?
We'll just rate it for him. He's gonna give it a 9.
He's gonna give it a 9.
And so we'll do 9.1 as our rating as well. Just copy IMDb from now on.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, take us out, Dustin.
Alrighty, let me get the ending send-off notice here. Alright, I'm just kidding. Well, thanks everyone for watching this Chepisode of our walkthrough of Avatar, Book 1, Chapter 12. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also, don't forget to subscribe. And Appa?
Yep.